thing about trading Forex is that you don't actually know exactly which trade is going to be a crazy winner or just another loss.
What's up, everybody? We are currently live.
Big way the weekly.
Trace back down to orthodox. That price is going to be bullish.
Point sort of chasing the market. I was more than happy to stay flat.
Hello everyone. What the kangaroo tell?
Always recommend trading on the 5 minute.
Some of these exotic pairs in pretty steady uptrend, making these higher highs and higher.
Mostly trend following.
The stimulus in a certain way.
Afternoon or evening, good morning, everybody. Hope you are well. Welcome to the stream. Thanks to Nick and A1 Trading for having me back as usual. If you're in the room, come say hello. Don, how we doing? Denise, hope you are well. Market has been crazy, risk on, risk off, risk on. I know, yeah, tell me about it, Denise. I think in normal circumstances, if it wasn't kind of COVID, I'd probably be away and taking a month off. Just with how it is. So, you know, I mean, yes, it's certainly risk off at the moment, but, you know, when we're seeing what seems to be to me, when we're seeing this kind of risk off attitude, we're getting the yen and the Swiss like really, really strong. When we're coming up here, we're still getting a bit of strength in that yen, still getting a bit of strength in that Swiss. But when we get into points like this, where the market is kind of moving down, then you see massive strength in that yen. Top of the morning, Lorenzo, how you doing? AUD CAD buying. I'll go through that in a second, Lorenzo. I'll go through the SPX, the dollar, and my watch list, and then shout out some pairs if you want me to look at them. But yeah, I mean, what we have to remember, although the market is kind of falling a little bit now, let's just take it from a longer term perspective. Let's take it from this daily chart. And although we may be heading for a potential morning or evening star here, it doesn't look as kind of bad, should we say, as it does on these smaller time frames, which is why I always kind of take firstly, you know, let's look at the daily, let's look at the larger price action before we go like too panicky into this yen strength and this Swiss strength. You know, it is, you know, just at market open, there is sometimes decent moves for that, but, you know, stocks are still pushing up, right? Stocks are still pushing up. And we could be in line for a possible pullback, maybe to that 20, maybe even more. You know, people who have watched me for a while, you know that I don't like the stock market, primarily in terms of a trading perspective, because it's not correlating to those risk on, risk off assets, right? We're seeing weak strength in the yen, even if we're pushing on. You know, we're not seeing that strength in the Aussie. We're not seeing that strength in the commodity currencies, which is what you see with those fluid markets. But when this happens, we're getting monstrous kind of strength in the Swiss and monstrous strength in the yen. You know, maybe people know more than us. You know, there has been a fluctuation to that yen, kind of that risk-off safe haven currency. But again, you know, you still have to say, even though today in the daily perspective it doesn't look great, we're still in risk-on mode, right? But it's just not correlating to that market. Yeah, and how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Even though it's risk off now, given how it's been behaving, it might go back to risk on. Yeah, exactly, Don. You know, how many times, and this has been quite often, I've found, the 5:30 open or the US open, there's been a lot of times this has happened. You know, not to this extent, but, you know, certainly decently bearish bars. Now, I do think this does continue to the downside. You know, I don't think this massively comes back up or completely reverses. Possibly it could, hitting a rough trend line here. But you know, it's hard to predict this market. You have to say, you know, for me, being a trader for 6 years, it's hard to predict. And one of the quotes, I'll go into a few quotes a little bit later on. I want to, you know, kind of show you learning from the greats kind of thing. But one of the quotes that always sticks in my head in times like this is the market will remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So I always remember that when things aren't going well, you know, or when you can't really get a grip of the market, you're in this game for the long term, right? We're not in this game for 1 month or 2 months when it's been kind of poor. We're in this game for years and years and years, and making sure you don't lose your money during these times where there's a lot of impulse moves, not many trends, right? Will put you in good stead for those times where the market is fluid. And for me, again, it depends on what type of trader you are. When the market is fluid, that's where I make most of my money. And even though it's boring, you know, what do they say? Good trading is boring trading. Even though it is boring, it has been boring for me for 2.5 months now. I'm not going to lose all my money during this time. I've done that too many times to want to do it again. And I'm happy to wait. Rohan, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Renisha, how are you? Any trades today? No trades today for me. I've looked at a few things. I'll go into the dollar and then I'll go into the ones that I'm watching. So the dollar here, I did say on Friday, I was doing a stream on Friday before I kind of went away and saying up here actually was a good call for a potential intraday dollar shorts. And, you know, just by looking at this structure, if I take this off, right, the reason why I said that, you'll know that I like my complex corrective. So on Friday, we were kind of here. And for me at this point in time, it kind of looked like it was losing momentum a little bit to the upside, this dollar, right? We had this decent push down. Unless this turns into a V reversal, you're normally expecting this loss of momentum to kind of follow through. And that's what we kind of, you know, got. And your kind of basic channel kind of came through on that dollar shorts. So I didn't catch any dollar shorts. I don't trade the US session on Friday, but you know, it's a good little move there to the downside for the dollar. Now, in terms of continuation, right, you're kind of getting a reaction. This is roughly around this 50% Fibonacci area, but you know, it doesn't look very healthy, does it? So, you know, for me, unless you get something here or potentially an anchor to break that anchor, with how the daily is looking and how we've turned from this momentum to the upside to a little bit bearish, it's hard to predict where it is. Your bias is probably at the moment still has to be the downside, right? You know, again, you've got your kind of simple channel on these smaller time frames. So, you know, with a complex corrective, this is not what you want to see at all. And, you know, dollar, certainly at the moment, you'd expect a reaction around that 50. You'd expect a reaction around that 200. But you've got to think that it's still potentially continuation to the downside because of that, you know, daily chart and how this price action looks. Certainly, if you get a break below here, and certainly if you get a break below here in the daily, you've got to be thinking dollar short. But not yet. You know, you've got to let this play out. You've got to wait for that confirmation. You know, it looked like it was coming down here, but again, here on these smaller time frames, that is what I would consider not ready to move yet, right? So we've obviously had a push through. You've probably got trapped sellers in here, right? That are thinking this corrective is over. But again, if you look at the higher time frames, for me, the moves happened and you've got to let this digest. Again, I talk about digesting quite a lot. And, you know, that's why I think you get a lot of this where you get trapped sellers roughly in at this area thinking, okay, the dollar has been bearish. It's going to continue bearish. But again, you get that little flip and not ready to go. Hey, Ryan, since you've been trading markets for so long, I know it feels like forever, probably aged about 15 years, Don. Would you say the markets potentially has less volume now compared to the past thanks to COVID? That's an interesting question. Would you say the markets have less volume now compared to the past thanks to COVID? You probably, the easiest way to do that would if you take your SPX on a weekly perspective, right? But probably using volume, you have to say no, right? You have to say there's more volume coming in at this point in time. So no, because just by looking at this and looking at the comparison here, again, the volume comes from institutions. You'd say there's more coming in after COVID. But what am I trying to say? So market has less volume now compared to the past. So no, I don't think so. you know, I also traded during the Trump era, and the Trump era was difficult as well for traders. You know, it was just, you know, going with this Twitter account. But no, I don't think so. No, you'd say probably an uptick in volume. Good question. I've recently started trading 1 month ago, and I'm not seeing any of the excitement that these YouTube videos show. Well, Renisha, what I will say is, I mean, and anybody who watches me for a while will know I'm kind of big on bashing fake YouTube or fake Instagram traders. And as I said, and you know, as I say, and as Nick probably says, good trading is boring trading. You have to treat it, you know, you have to treat it very seriously, obviously, but it's a passive income. You know, staring at the charts all day, it's not, unless you're a scalper, right? Trading is passive income. And the reason why is because the time it takes, it is, you know, as you get a little bit more experience as you go on, you know, as I say, my trading can take me an hour a day. So it is passive income. And, you know, trading shouldn't be exciting. And I know that's probably hard to hear, or you don't really want to hear that, but trading definitely shouldn't be exciting. It should be boring. And you're just doing the same things day in, day out, and you're, you know, yeah, okay, when the good months come around, it's great. Like, everybody loves a great month. But, you know, a lot of the months you're going to be kind of, you know, small losses, small wins, small losses, and then you'll get your big month. And that's kind of how it goes. You know, you're waiting. For me personally, I'm waiting around maybe once every quarter for my really big trade to come along. And that's where my edge comes from. So I think you've kind of started at potentially an okay time, Renisha, because it's a hard market to trade. And but I think the main thing getting out of there is that trading shouldn't be exciting. You should have a passion for it. I still enjoy doing it, but it's not exciting. I enjoy making money from it, but it's, you know, money made from really not, I make most of my money not sitting at the charts rather than sitting at the charts, just waiting around. Anyway, dollar. So dollar, yeah, I'm a little bit bearish on dollar, but I think it needs to digest a little bit more. So notice how before here, you got a pullback roughly around that 20. Again, digesting that move, it just looks nice. We don't have that here. Hope COVID will finish soon and be back to normal. Yeah, I think everybody hopes that, Rohan. I think everybody hopes that. Let's see. I think we need to get back to normality. So one of the ones I was looking at today was this USD Hong Kong dollar. So this was a nice setup. We kind of had our double V reversal. This is the hourly chart. Again, I can't take the breakouts on the hourly, but this was a nice setup. I like this pair. You know, I really do like this pair. I like how it moves. And we got the setup here. The context was really nice. So you can see that 4-hour context, right? Roughly around that 20. Again, this is the higher time frame. So it looks ready to move to the upside. Right, daily as well. We are on an uptrend. We're kind of breaking through this area. So the higher time frame confluence with this USD Hong Kong dollar was nice. You know, I didn't get involved in it. I couldn't get, you know, a part of it. But just notice that as, you know, market structure looks really good to me. I would have wanted a breakout retest. So that, unfortunately, for me, is gone. But, you know, again, looking at these higher time frames, getting your multi-time frame analysis in order to take a potential trade will help, just like we talked about with the dollar there. So USD Hong Kong dollar is kind of gone for me. And you'll notice with this pair, if you do like exotics, so I really like trading exotic pairs, as the dollar index falls, this rises, right? Which is not what you'd expect, but that is one of the characteristics of USD Hong Kong dollar. So as the dollar looks bearish, this actually looks bullish. I'm looking at NZD CAD as well. NZD CAD looks okay on this daily chart. Looking at this V reversal, we've had a nice corrective back to that 20. Right, back to that 20. We've got two outside bullish engulfers here, right? Nice price action. Again, digesting this impulse to the upside. I'm not as worried about these kind of liquidity runs, volatility wicks. But what I'm looking at now is simply a 20-period catch-up. So even though this is a daily chart, it might take a few days, but we're waiting for that 20 period to kind of curl around, indicating potential movement to the upside, for a breakout of that to the upside. Better, what would be better would be another slight reload, because then your stop is a little bit tighter. Again, we don't want this in the way of one-to-one risk reward. But NZD-CAD I kind of like. You know, I like that to the upside. Oil's weakening off, but either way, the chart looks pretty nice. So NZD-CAD, I'm looking for a potential long. NZD-USD. NZD-USD is quite similar on the daily. The only problem with this that I have is this 200 again. As I said, I can't have a trade in the way of that, but we've kind of got our cup with handle here, right? And the same thing with NZD-CAD, double outside bullish engulfers around that 20. So whether this sets up properly, we'll have to wait and see. But again, looking for that 20 period catch up now to take this to the upside. Whether we get that, I have to see where that 200 comes, but this looks not bad for a potential move back to the upside, because we're kind of coming out of the realm of this being a corrective. You know, if this was a corrective, you'd expect it to move really down here when it broke through, because this looked okay. So we're kind of shifting to, you know, potentially looking this as a head and shoulders for, you know, from this downtrend to move back to an uptrend, which coincides with our dollar index analysis, because the dollar is looking quite bearish. And the stocks are still pushing. I know that's not correlating, but the stocks still are pushing. And once we do get that fluidity, you'd expect that strength to come into the Kiwi. So NZD dollar also looks pretty good. And finally, USD CAD. USD CAD potential again to the upside as a breakout on this 4-hour chart. So we've got our basing cut pattern, tag this area again, pulling back to that 20, pulling back to that 200. We're looking to create our cut with handle pattern. So this is a nice handle so far, because we're getting roughly 50% of this basing structure. But I couldn't take this, right? So you can't take this as a break if it just continues to this side, because, you know, we want healthy price action going into this level. So what we want is another tag, right? For me, the more it tags the area, the less strong this resistance becomes, right? We're getting tags, we're getting, you know, moving to the downside. If this has a smaller reload, sellers at this area, again, thinking about the psychology, sellers at this area has got a decent move to the downside, right? Once they start to get less moves to the downside, they'll be thinking, okay, maybe I'm not going to take a short position, because buyers are potentially pushing this up and increasing that pressure into that resistance zone. So what I'm looking for, again, if I zoom in, it's just something like this, a cup with handle within a cup with handle to take this to the upside. Again, using our multi-time frame analysis, this looks good on the daily. You know, it looks okay on the daily. We are coming from an uptrend. We did have this, but if we do push through, right, we're pushing through this anchor here. So if we're taking this as not a very nice corrective, but, you know, it can be classed as a corrective. If we break through this daily anchor, it's a good indication for me that this wants to rise. Right, so we're above that 20, we're above that 200. I know we're expecting negativity on the US dollar, but that doesn't mean we're going to be right, right? If we're wrong and the dollar does come back up, you'd expect USD CAD to rise. So again, having that resistance or that support area adds a little bit of confluence. Above those moving averages adds a little bit of confluence. On uptrend adds a little bit of confluence. And yeah, I kind of like that. So USD CAD looks okay to the upside as long as it sets up. Gold. Okay, I'll do gold. So shout out the ones you want me to do, and I'll do it. Gold. Well, gold is kind of shifted now. The one thing I will say about gold is it likes a deeper retracement. So I'm kind of forgetting about this wick. Right, if I'm taking my Fibonacci area, if this happens, I'm kind of disregarding that, you know, this kind of flash crash. So I take my Fibonacci from this area. Now we're getting, gold does like a deeper retracement, right? Actually a little bit more than the 61.8. So we still have to be aware of that. Again, that comes down to knowing your market characteristics, knowing your pairs. But it is, I mean, it's looking bullish, right? It's certainly looking bullish. Daily chart looks good. You know, have you filled the orders here for movement to the upside? Will you get a reaction like we have before? We'll have to wait and see. We've broken through this structure, and we've broken through it pretty easily. So market doesn't seem to be respecting this area at the moment. We're getting to this area now, which you'd expect to see a reaction, right? Possibly around that 20, possibly around that daily, but it's certainly a steep pullback from that drop. So you've got to be thinking bullish at the moment, and it does look good. If we take it on the smaller time frames, right? I mean, look at this in the past. This is the hourly. The past 2 hours looks bullish, doesn't it? So yeah, my opinion, my bias, I'm not trading it, is gold to the upside, I think. But just, you know, watch out for that 200, because you probably will get some reaction off of it, because you have done a few times in the past. So gold, my bias is the upside, but I wouldn't be buying it right now. I would just be waiting a little bit, I would say. Ryan, my pending sell order on CAD Swiss triggered last Friday, which we discussed on your channel. I imagine that's going very well, Rohan, no? CAD Swiss. There you go, look at that. Yeah, see, so I remember discussing this on Friday with you, Rohan. If I had seen that there, right, it would have been a better indication for me, because it looked at this point, you know, trend was correcting through time rather than through price. Because this is right, this is a good trend up until this point. The reason why I liked your short idea is because of this climactic move, right? So we've got a very decently, or a strong trend moving up here on CAD Swiss, but then you get this at the end, right? And we don't want to see that. Certainly if you're buying it, you know, if I'm in this position and I see this, you know, I'd be very likely to take profits up here, because not only have we got this climactic, but we're getting it on increasing volume. And that's what we don't want to see if you are a buyer. Now, obviously, if you're looking at it from a seller side, you're thinking, well, do you know what? There might be a shorting opportunity here. But we haven't got that, or we didn't get that for quite some time. And then you got this bar, which for me was, right, you probably got buyers coming in at this zone, right? Breakout buyers in here. Now, for me personally, I'm never taking that breakout. Again, you look at it from the daily. You're not taking a breakout there because of this price action. Again, it needs to digest. You need to have a healthy trend to move on. So I'm certainly not buying it here. You know, you want to be getting in the move, you know, into moves like this when you're, you know, at the start of it. You don't want to be buying up here, because this can potentially happen. And that's exactly what you got. You know, so if you did sell it on this candle, I don't know, Rohan, if you actually sold it on that candle, but, you know, if you did, well done. That would be a great trade. You know, that for me is a classic fake out. Absolute classic fake out. Again, you know, if you'd seen this here, or maybe a few bars less, that would have been perfect. You know, I'm not saying it was a bad trade. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have taken it myself personally, because it's not part of my strategy. But coming from this, and then getting this, which I believe has come on some volume, yeah, looks good for a short. So you've done very well on that, you know, and it certainly looks bearish right now. But yeah, that's an interesting concept there, and that's I think this is important, because if you are a new trader, right, this wick right here is probably this, right? So that is people probably seeing this move and thinking, all right, I want to be a part of that. This is looking really bullish. I'm going to take the breakout of this zone. What happens? Price completely flips, because it's not ready to move. So you're getting that kind of FOMO buyers possibly thinking, you know, it's corrected back to the 20, but you've come from this massive impulse. So yeah, and also, you know, possibly taking a sell stop from here may make sense as well. Pending was at 7355. 7355. So you took, okay, so that's exactly what you did, right? You took the sell order out of this structure. Good trade, mate. Yeah, that's a really good trade. I'll give you that. Very good trade there. I think it's worked out better than you expected, right? I don't think we could have seen this coming on Friday, but taking a sell short there, this is where you're waiting. You could be waiting a while for these big moves. These trades. If you take a trade like that, they don't come around often where you get this massive spike down. So yeah, that was a good trade. Can you please talk about oil? Okay, I'll talk about oil. Hi, Victoria. How are you doing? Screen is fuzzy on my end. Is it just me? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can change the resolution on YouTube. I'm not sure, Victoria. Ryan, do you agree with the idea that price mirrors itself, like the way CAD Swiss fell? Price mirrors itself. What do you mean, Manisha? Price? Do you mean like markets have a memory? Is that what you mean by price mirrors itself? Just let me know a little bit. I don't want to kind of assume what you're asking. So if you just let me a bit more detail, I can answer it. Okay, oil. I'll go into oil. Oil. I mean, oil's setting up for a potential short. We're getting our, the kind of pattern that I like. Looks not too bad. Not ready for me yet. It's having a reaction around this support area, which it has done for, a few times before. So you're expecting that reaction. Again, similar to CAD Swiss, I'm not taking a breakout to the downside of this area because the move's already happened, right? So using this simple 20, again, I always bang on about it. Using a simple 20 gets you on in the moves at the right time. So for oil, for me to take a potential short, which I'm actually going to add this to my watch list, so thanks for bringing that up. It would need something like this. If I something like this, it's not a very good drawing. Like this, channel corrective, another reload, something like that to get me in to take it to the downside. Stops under here or here. So again, yeah, I wouldn't be selling it right now. I wouldn't be taking that breakout. I want that 20 period catch up. I'd rather have that cup with handle within a cup with handle to take that breakout to the downside. Daily looks bearish. We've come from this, what I thought was going to be a possible harder reset. Now notice this could potentially look similar to the DXY, right? Where we're having this quite sustained move to the downside. But we pushed up, we failed to break this area, and now we're coming back down. So yeah, oil looks decent for a counter trend. It is counter trend. Well, actually, you would probably consider this trend. Sorry, you would consider this as a trending move to the downside. But 200 is underneath. So yeah, oil to the downside. I think she means price does the same movements over and over. Well, I mean, that's kind of what technical analysis is based off, right? So chartists or technical analysis like me or like some of you guys, I mean, that's what we base our livelihood in is, we see patterns that happen, time and time again before, and we use that knowledge to predict what could potentially happen in the future. So if that's what you mean, then yeah, I agree. So, I mean, that's what technical analysis is. You're looking for patterns and you're trying to predict using past results of that pattern, which way it could go. Like if you put a mirror between the upwards move and the downwards move, it's almost a reflection. I can see what you mean. So you're saying is this and this is kind of reflection. Not really. I can see what you're trying to say. I mean, I wouldn't agree with it. It's just kind of a fake out and fall to the downside. You could say, well, this is happening because it was risk on last week and the Swiss was very weak, right? This is happening now because we've had a decent move to the upside and we know market conditions right now. There's lots of this, right? Lots of this. So this is just continuing, right? Push up and then we impulse to the upside. It's the momentum has been shifting, seems like every day or every few days. So it's just basically, for me, this is not a mirror. This is just, it's extended going into a level. it's faked out from that level, and now it's taking it to the downside. And added into that, the SPX is falling, so those risk-off assets are becoming a bit stronger. Does that make sense, Renisha? I don't know if that's what you're asking or if I've actually answered your question there, but in terms of mirrors, no, I don't think mirror is the right way to say it. But if you're talking about what Cam said, price does the same movements, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But no price action will ever be 100% the same. Like this will never be replicated, or it's very unlikely. So that's my personal opinion on it. All right, guys, if there's anything else you want me to look at, let me know. That makes sense? Okay, great. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I answered your question correctly. But if there's nothing else you guys want me to look at, there's nothing else that I'm really interested in right now. You know, I did like the USD Hong Kong dollar, but it's kind of already broken. And keep an eye on that NZD CAD. Keep an eye on that Kiwi dollar and that USD CAD. But it is a Monday. Mondays are... Although movements have been good today, Rohan, you'll be happy. But, you know, a lot of Mondays are a bit choppy. And it has been choppy for quite some time. Okay, CAD Yen. Okay, CAD Yen is the last one. Last one I'll do. CAD Yen, very similar to CAD Swiss. You know, this is moving to roughly this area. Again, the moves already happened. I wouldn't sell it here. Again, the moves happened. You know, you might get a reaction off this area, but you know, I certainly wouldn't be selling it. Wait for something like this for a potential movement to the downside. But with how the market is, don't discount this. You know, you could get this a fake out and then do the complete opposite of what we've seen. That could be certainly on the okay, people are coming in right now. That could certainly be on the cards, right? We've seen that time and time again. Shorted from the top. Oh, well done. Well done, Victoria. You'll be making a decent bit of money. So now, again, it comes down to your trade management. So if your trade management is to take profits at the next zone, and taking profits here makes sense, right? And this is why I think having maybe 2 trades on instead of, you know, all your lot amount on one is that you can take profits here, you know, and then potentially wait for a swing. You know, I don't think that's been the best trade management in this market, but you know, waiting for a swing and moving your stop. But that's why I always recommend taking a few trades and taking some profit off, certainly in this market, because it flips on a dime. Is that the saying? Flips on a dime piece. Trailing stop, yeah, good idea. Yeah, lock in that profit. Okay, what else do we have? Silver. I'll personally just wait till tomorrow for the markets to digest. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Don. I think that's a good idea. Silver and Euro NZD. Okay, that's the last two. That's the last two, and then I'm off. It's almost 7 o'clock here. I'm hungry. Silver and Euro NZD. Silver looks okay for kind of intraday longs. Now, again, maybe you're getting your head and shoulders potentially there. Possibly. You know, it's going to follow gold, but it is counter trend. Decent day yesterday, but that day's not come on volume. But intraday, because of that 4 hour and because of that daily, you're probably expecting a little bit of upward movement, right? Looks okay on that hourly. Decent bar here on a bit of volume. Pushing up. You know, certainly if it breaks, so if it breaks this area for me, this kind of B wave, you would say, then yeah, silver looks good for movement to the upside. Yeah, so silver to the upside. I made 2.5% profit on the dollar sell-off on Friday. Oh, well done, mate. I'm glad somebody profited over that. Was that off my advice, Don? Just say yes. Okay, finally, Euro NZD. Euro NZD, again, is looking decent long. You know, I think I talked about this on Friday as well. You kind of had your... I mean, for me, you always start from the daily chart. You've got your outside bullish engulfing here. So that is, from a technical side, is looking bullish. That doesn't mean it's going to change trend, but it could be in line for a pullback. Euro NZD hourly chart looks, smaller time frames look okay. 4 hours, certainly if it breaks this area, will look quite good. But again, you've got that 200 in the way. You've got your 220 in the way here. It's just, the charts are just not very nice. The charts are just not very nice. But if I had to give you my bias, it breaks to this area and breaks and closes above this area, then, and certainly if the stocks continue to fall, then you'd expect this to rise. Dimitri, sorry, I'm just going through. Can be answered with Ichimoku Kijun-sen. Oh, I don't even know what that is. Alan, look at it and let us know. I'll have a look at that as well. I've never heard of that. I was looking at UJ retracement on Thursday after moving up. Then price just went all the way down in my direction. UJ. Oh well, so you've had a good few days, Don. There's the power of a simple engulfer as well. Simple engulfer. If you trade them, naked Forex, they work for a reason. That looks good short as well. Not now. I wouldn't be taking a short now, but if you're in it, good trade. Are you consistent? Because if you made a 10% loss, that 2.5% profit is just bad. I don't understand what you mean. Are you speaking to me, Dimitri? Or are you speaking to Don? Are you consistent because if you made a 10% loss, that I'm not really sure. Not really sure. I don't think you're speaking to me there, right? What is the trade that you advise we take? Mohammed, see, what you need is that the trade that you take is a trade that fits your strategy, right? So for me, I'm not in any trades. I'm potentially taking one maybe over the week, but I never really, and not to pick on you, Mohammed, because you're probably new, but I never like to answer that question because trading is very selective. You have to have your own strategy. I can give my bias, but the right trade is the trade that fits your strategy. That's it. The right trade is, a strategy that you back tested, that works. So whatever happens, if you say buy the USD JPY and I say sell it, then you buy it. So that's my answer to that question. Sorry. So fair enough. All right, guys, that's me for today. I appreciate you coming. If you like it, remember, like this video helps, for everyone trading. And I'll see you all on Thursday. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And before you go, make sure to check out our guest today and also subscribe to the A1 Trading YouTube channel if you have not already. Risk Calculator is a risk management tool built specifically for MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 to help you position size properly. Their easy to use software will allow you to enter and exit positions with lot sizes that are calculated for you, suited to your risk management settings that you allow for the tool. This is a big thing because a lot of us struggle with over leveraging or accidentally taking a position size too big, and Risk Calculator is there to help. Like I said, with the click of a few buttons, you're able to set your trade and the lot size will automatically be calculated for you so that it suits your risk management plan. In addition to actually setting your trades with the proper lot size, it also allows you to manage your trades as they're going along. Things like trailing stops, moving stops to break even, or even partial take profits are all tools or features available with the Risk Calculator functions that are available on MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. If you're interested in checking out Risk Calculator, there's a link down below in the description. And if you use that link, it does help to support what we do here on the channel, which is provide free trading content, again, by the thanks to the help of our sponsors. So thanks so much for watching today. Again, make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube if you haven't already, and we'll see you back in the next one.